there's a lot of things you can learn about a business. I've done that in the past on the businesses that I feel I could understand, so I don't have to do much of that anymore. It's a nice thing about investing is you don't have to learn anything very new. I mean, you can do it if you want to, but if you learned about Wrigley's chewing gum 40 years ago, you still understand Wrigley's chewing gum. There's not a lot of great insights to get or anything of the sort as you go along. So you do get a database in your head. I had a guy, Frank Rooney, who ran Melville for many years. His father-in-law died, owned a company called H.H. Brown, a shoe company. And he put it up with Goldman Sachs, but he was playing golf with a friend of mine here in Florida and mentioned to this friend. The guy said, "Why don't you call Warren?" He called me at the end of the golf match, and in 5 minutes I basically had a deal. But I knew Frank, and I knew the kind of business, and I sort of knew the basic economics of a shoe business, and so I could buy it. And quantitatively, I got to decide what the price is. That's either yes or no. I mean, I don't fool around a lot with negotiations. So if they name a price that makes sense to me, I buy it. And if they don't, I was happy the day before, so I'll be happy the day after without owning it. Yeah.
Coca-Cola just announced a drop in expectations in terms of future earnings and fourth quarter earnings. And in light of the fact that Coke has a lot of their profits coming in from outside the United States, how do you think the Asian crisis, so to speak, is going to affect Coke and for that matter the ESP in general?
The question is about the Asian crisis and how it affects a company like Coke that recently announced that the earnings, actually they just announced their third quarter earnings, but a few weeks ago they tipped people off that they were going to be lower in the fourth quarter and so on. Well, basically I love it, but because the market for Coca-Cola products is going to grow far faster over the next 20 years internationally than it will in the United States. It'll grow in the United States on a per capita basis, but it's going to grow faster elsewhere. So the fact that it's going to be a tough period for, who knows, 3 months or 3 years, but it won't be tough for 20 years. I mean, people are still going to, they're going to work productively around the world, and they're going to find that this is a bargain product in terms of the portion of their working day that they have to give up in order to have one of these, or better yet, 5 of them a day, like I do. This is a product. In 1936, when I first bought 6 of those for a quarter and sold them for a nickel each, and it was in a 6.5-ounce bottle, and you paid a 2-cent deposit on the bottle, that was a 6.5-ounce bottle for a nickel at that time. It's now a 12-ounce can, which if you buy it on weekends, or if you buy it in bigger quantities, so much money doesn't go to the packaging, I mean, you essentially can buy the 12 ounces for not much more than 20 cents. So you're paying not much more than twice the per ounce price of 1936. And it is a product that's gotten cheaper and cheaper and cheaper in relative to people's earning power over the years, and which people love. In 200 countries, you have the per capita use going up every year for a product that's over 100 years old, and that dominates the market. I mean, it's unbelievable. One thing that people don't understand is one thing that makes this product, this is worth tens and tens of billions of dollars, is one simple fact about really all colas, but we'll call it Coca-Cola for the moment. It happens to be a name I like. Cola has no taste memory. You can drink one of these at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock. The one at 5 o'clock will taste just as good to you as the one you drank early in the morning. You can't do that with cream soda, root beer, orange, grape, you name it. All of those things accumulate on you. Most foods and beverages accumulate on you. You get sick of them after a while. And if you eat, I mean, we get these people who go to work for us that seize candy, and we tell them they eat all the candy they want. And the first day they go crazy. But after a week, they're eating about the same amount they'd eat if they were buying it, because chocolate accumulates on, everything accumulates on. There is no taste memory to cola. And that means that you get people around the world that are heavy users that'll drink 5 a day, or Diet Coke, maybe 7 or 8 a day or something of the sort. They'll never do that with other products. So you get this incredible per capita consumption. The average person in this part of the world, well, maybe a little north of here, drinks about 64 ounces of liquid a day. And you can have all 64 ounces of that be Coke, and you will not get fed up with Coke if you like it to start with, in the least. But if you do that with almost anything else, if you eat just one product all day, you'll get a little sick of it after a while. And it's a huge factor. So that today, over 1 billion 8-ounce servings of Coca-Cola products will be sold in the world. And that will grow year by year. It'll grow in every country, virtually. It'll grow on a per capita basis. And 20 years from now, it'll grow in a lot faster internationally than in the U.S. So I really like that market better, because there is more growth there over time. But it will hurt them it is hurting them in the short term right now. But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, Coca-Cola went public in, I think it was 1919. Stock sold for $40 a share. It went back before that as the Candler family, and they went back. They bought it for $2,000, the whole business. Asa Candler back in the late 1880s in a couple of purchases. So now he goes public in 1919, $40 a share. 1 year later, it's selling for $19, gone down 50% in 1 year. Now you might think that's some kind of disaster, and you might think that sugar prices increased and the bottlers were rebellious and a whole bunch of things. You could always find a few reasons why that wasn't the ideal moment to buy it. Years later, you'd have seen the Great Depression, and you'd have seen World War II, and you'd seen sugar rationing, and you'd seen thermonuclear weapons, and the whole thing. There's always a reason. But in the end, if you'd bought one share for $40 and reinvested the dividends, it'd be worth about $5 million now. And that factor so overrides anything else. I mean, if you're right about the business, you'll make a lot of money. And the timing part of it is a very tricky thing. So I don't worry about any given event if I've got a wonderful business, what it does to next year or something of the sort. Their price controls have been in this country at various times, and that's fouled up even the best of businesses. I mean, I wouldn't be able to raise the price on December 26th of See's Candy if we had price controls, and we've had them in this country. But that doesn't make it a lousy business if that happens to happen, because you're not going to have price controls forever. We had them in the early 70s. So the wonderful business, you can figure out what will happen. You can't figure out when it will happen. You don't want to focus too much on when. You want to focus on what. If you're right about what, you don't have to worry about when very much. Is there an area I'm missing back there any place? I just want to make sure I'm not focusing all of them on one place. Let me get this gentleman over here.
Most humans make mistakes, but the most successful of those will learn lessons from those mistakes and use them to benefit themselves later. What investment mistakes have you made, or that you feel that you made, and how have you used those lessons?
The question is about my business mistakes. How much time do you have? Well, the interesting thing about the mistakes is that in investments, at least for me and for my partner, Charlie Munger, the biggest mistakes have not been mistakes of commission, they've been mistakes of omission. They're where we knew enough about the business to do something, and for one reason or another, we sat there sucking our thumbs instead of doing something. And so we've passed up things where we could have made billions and billions of dollars from things we understood. Forget about things we don't understand. In fact, I could make billions out of Microsoft. Doesn't mean anything because I never understand Microsoft. But if I can make billions out of healthcare stocks, then I should make it, and I didn't. When the Clinton healthcare program was proposed and they all went in the tank, we should have made a ton of money out of that because I could understand it. And I didn't make it. I should have made a ton of money out of Fannie Mae back in the mid '80s because I understood it and I didn't do it. Those are billion-dollar mistakes or multi-billion-dollar mistakes that generally accepted accounting principles don't pick up. The mistakes you see, we made I made a mistake buying U.S. Air Preferred some years ago. I mean, I had a lot of money around. I make mistakes when I get cash. Charlie tells me to go to a bar instead. Don't hang around the office. But I hang around the office and I got money in my pocket. I do something dumb. And it happens every time. So I bought this thing. Nobody made me buy it. I now have a 800 number I call every time I think about buying stock in an airline, and they talk me down. They say, I say, I'm Warren, I'm an airaholic, and then the guy says, keep talking, don't hang up, and don't do anything rash. And finally I get over it. But I bought it, and it looked like we were going to lose all our money in that, and we came very close to losing all our money, and you can say we deserved to lose all our money. And we bought it because it was an attractive security, but it was not in an attractive business. I did the same thing with Solomon. I bought an attractive security in a business that I wouldn't have bought the equity in. So you can say that that's one form of mistake, buying something because you like the terms when you don't like the business that well. And I've done that in the past and probably do it again.